What do you say, everybody? Roll Tide. Welcome to the Bama Tailgate Show, brought to you by Pearl River Resort over there in Philadelphia, Mississippi. The Azaleas, the Oaks, two amazing golf courses at Dancing Rabbit Golf Course. All right, let's talk about it. Practice is underway, Shank. We got so much to get into, including the quarterback situation, Ryan Grubb talking to the media, the offensive line, which I know you're going to love to get into that, because you love talking O-line. Are they going to run the ball this year? All that coming up. Let's go. All right, there he is. Alphonse Taylor, Mick Gillespie here with you on the Bama Tailgate Show. Shank, I've been excited, man. 2 days in practice now. We heard from Coach DeBoer yesterday. He didn't really say a whole lot. Then you get Ryan Grubb in there, and he says stuff. Like, he's kind of like Saban. Like, he's in there to, you ask him a question, and you're going to get the answer. And basically everyone wants to know about the quarterback. They haven't named a starter yet. He said that he liked the way that Ty Simpson was commanding the offense. I thought he did a better job of that today than the other guys. At that, he continues to progress as a leader. Basically, he's saying you need to do that every day between now and Florida State when we start preparing for that first game. So, thoughts?
All right, man. I think that's where Ty has the advantage of being in that Bama locker room experience. Helps him a lot here, man. And so he needs to have that confidence. He needs to be able to take command of the huddle and let his voice be heard. He needs to be heard and seen at all times. That's what we're going to need on that offensive side of the ball, man. Um, and like I said, I think the experience that he's had up until this point and seeing the guys before him, those Jalen Milrose, um, he's in a good position to put that experience to use. And so your OC has laid it out for you, kind of telling you what he expects from you. And so take that to heart, man, and go out there and perform.
Do you think that there's a chance that Austin Mack, and maybe I should just ask you this, what percentage of a chance do you think Austin Mack or Keon Russell could potentially get that starting quarterback nod, at least to start the season?
Oh, you're gonna do that to me, Mick, man. That's tough. That's tough. Because the whole entire summer it's been Ty Simpson and Keelan Russell, right? And so now Austin Mack is slowly but surely slipping into that equation, and so that makes it a hard ball game to predict, man. But I'm still sticking with with my guy Ty, and I think Keelan Russell he has a little chance to play. A talent of that caliber, man. They're not gonna want to sit him on the sideline and let things go sour. I don't think. Uh, you know, sort of like Tua. They looked for every chance they could to get Tua in the game, and so I think Keelan Russell will be along those same lines, especially if Ty isn't performing to the standard that's expected of him at this point.
Yeah, and
Uh,
look,
uh,
that's every position. I mean, you dealt with that at offensive line. You came into the
yeah.
season as a long shot when you were young, and then you came into the season as a guy that they expected to take the job and win it, and you did that. Both are tough in their own way, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just because, even if you're one of those veteran guys that's been sitting and waiting his turn, it's still not your spot. You're not entitled to anything, right? Because at the end of the day, you're going to put the best 11 on the field every chance you get. And so if it turns out that he's not part of that 11, then it's tough because you're given an opportunity and you're expected to take advantage of it. And so at this point, man, it's do or die. Either a term my coach used to always say, either shit or get off the pot. You know.
You said that drunk driving.
Yeah, and so it's simple as that, man. You either gonna do something with it or get out the way because it's a next man up mentality because I really think we need to win ball games.
Yeah, no doubt. And Alabama and Florida State's coming up the end of next month, which really starts tomorrow, right? So we'll be saying at the end of this month coming tomorrow. But Bama trying to roll into this season with Ty Simpson as the guy, and that's definitely going to give them the best chance to win, we feel like, at least to start the season. And it
Right.
comes down to commanding Ryan Grubb's offense. And He's going to be a stickler about that. He knows that there's high expectations following him from the NFL. I don't think he wanted to leave Seattle. And I feel like he's kind of got something to prove. I think that Ryan Grubb is viewed as one of the best offensive minds in football, and he doesn't want that to change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, not only does he have something to prove, I feel like after our offensive performance last year, anybody who would have stepped in that OC spot would have been on the hot seat, right? And so, Grub or not, man, we're looking for a high-powered offense because we fell behind last year. We couldn't consistently execute, and we didn't have a real identity as an offense. And at times, a lot of times, it showed. You go back and look at some of those games that we had no business losing, man, and it's tough.
I think when you look at this football team, one area that you're going to enjoy watching in this practice is, the secondary, which is talented, against the wide receivers, which is talented. And that to me would be the most intriguing and yet fun position group out there. I want to talk about Lotzeir Brooks. I was on with our friend Lee in Mobile today. Threw you a shout out, Shank, in our show.
Boy, Lee.
Yeah. And he asked me about freshmen that could make an impact. I said Lotzeir Brooks. You played with some freshman wide receiver that made impacts. What does Lotzeir Brooks need to do to have an impact as a freshman wide receiver?
Yeah, I think first off, when you look at some of the freshman guys that I've seen, like Amari Cooper, anybody you ask, you can go back and it's a test to his work ethic, right?
Mhm.
And like you got to be one of those guys that's just like eye-poppingly trying to outwork everybody every chance you get, man. It's just like every time you looked up, Coop was in the complex working on some late night. Coop was getting another workout in. Coop was running routes. So like, and you can ask any about that. You can ask anybody about that, right? And so that needs to be the type of guy. I think your work ethic is a big part of getting on the field, man. And once you get that opportunity, doing something with it, because every time Amari touched the ball, we're looking for a house call, right? He was that electric in his time at Bama. He was one of those guys that could take a slant 60 yards. He could take a smoke, a bubble screen 75 yards. He was an electric type player. So I think as a freshman, you got to work hard, man, and also you got to do the little things right. And because on that same hand, Coop was a guy who was willing to go block when it wasn't his time to get the ball as well, and that's huge, especially at a spot like receiver when everybody wants the ball, right, and it can easily be all about you, and so. I, I'll just tell them, man, make sure you're doing the little things, work, just try to outwork everybody. And when it's your time to shine, show up.
It's going to be fun to see what he does. And then that wide receiver group is led by Ryan Williams. Had a couple of drops in the practice, but also caught a touchdown pass. He's electric. There's a different sense to this camp than where we were with him last year. He was the guy we were talking about at the beginning of camp. Can this freshman make an impact? And now we kind of have him on our Heisman Trophy watch list. And it sounds like you think the way that you succeed is with all of the extra work that goes in, because you don't have that much time to practice, right?
You don't, because like I've said before, man, at the end of the day, the things you do with the team, those are bare minimum. Your guys that exceed and are high achievers, they show up when they're not told to. They're showing up getting extra work, when it's not mandatory. Man, those are the guys that are able to perform under pressure, man, and show up when it's their opportunity. And so it's absolutely you got to outwork everybody.
That'll be fun to see that group. Jeremy Bernard, part of that as well, and Alabama, Isaiah Horton, the transfer from Miami, very talented at wide receiver, and we'll talk about maybe running backs next time around. Cam Dewberry, the transfer from Texas A&M, starting to go maybe from the first team to the second team as far as working with the offensive line. How important is it to work with the first team, and when do they start to really like I feel like it's day 2, they're not going, hey, you know what, you got your spot, but maybe I'm wrong. You've been through this before.
I mean, them first team reps mean a lot. because we all know, man, it takes time for offensive lines to mold together as a unit because it's not an individualistic position. It's the only position on the field where you got to get five guys in unison doing the same thing at the same time to get a successful result, right? And so getting those first team reps and having those five at the same time, I think is really important. And don't get me wrong, even the reps, any reps you're able to get first and second team are important. But I think being up there with your unit matters. And O-line isn't a position that you can have many dog days because offensive lineman gives up one sack a game. He's not a very good offensive lineman, right? But
No.
a DN that gets one sack a game, he's an all-star. He's an all-American. And so it's a hard position to play, man, and you got to show up and be consistent every day.
That's put so well. And it also goes to show you kind of the difference between, what you're trying to do and what you're trying to prevent, right?
Absolutely.
And so this is how the offensive line looks right now. Parker Brailsford at center, Jalen Roberts right guard, Wilkin Formby right tackle, and then Cam Dewberry and Gino Vandermark left guard, and then Caden Proctor left tackle. So, but a lot of that can change. That's kind of the first team as of right now. But we'll have practice again on Saturday. We'll have it again on Sunday. They're going to keep practicing up until they play Florida State. So, it's really kind of hard to say, hey, what's the thing going to look like on kickoff opening game?
That's right. And shout out our boy Roberts, man. Named to the Outland Trophy watch list. That's big time. That's big time. And that's just to attest to the caliber of player that he is, man. I expect big things from him this season. Him and Proctor anchor that O-line. And so it's exciting, man. Camp is a fun time. Camp is a fun time because everybody's position is open basically.
Yeah.
Whoever perform, whoever performs, that's who's getting on the field. And so I'm excited to see how this O-line shakes out, man.
Final thing on today's show, disappointed. We've been covering this. I know some of you guys aren't happy about the fact that Bama lost out on five-star linebacker Tank Jones. He picks the Oregon Ducks over the Crimson Tide. I'll be honest, we've been following this for a while. It was a battle.
Yeah.
Dan Lanning, Taj LaPloy, they did a good job recruiting, and they get one of the best in the country. But it's not over yet. Look, he didn't sign anything yet, and there's a transfer portal. So, Bama came in probably a close second right now, but he's going all the way out to Oregon. He talked about relationships, and you know some of these coaches. They coached at Bama.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And if he's willing to go all the way out to Oregon, if his family's willing to, commit to that, and that attests to the relationships that he built out there with those guys. It's a good group of guys without a doubt. I hate it for us, but at the end of the day, the kid couldn't have went wrong no matter where he went, Oregon or Bama, because I feel like he'll be one of those kids we'll be watching on draft day one night. And he'll be on that next level. And so I think he'll go on to have a great career, man. But I hold out hope. The transfer portal is right there. It's easier to come home than leave. So, hey, man,
But
but
you were committed somewhere else, right? Didn't you commit to Florida State and then come to Bama?
Yeah, man, I was committed to Florida State, and if we want to talk about relationships, I ended up going to the Alabama Mississippi All-Star game, and the relationships I built with some of the guys that's here from Mobile, Ryan Anderson, TJ Yeldon, um, those were relationships that pushed me over to Bama. On top of thinking about my life after football, but being surrounded with guys like that, man, it was an easy decision for me. And, those guys have turned into lifelong brothers for me now. And, I'm appreciative of it, dog. But I know it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough decision for any kid to make at this time and point in his life. And so he feels like he's doing what's best for him and absolutely wish him nothing but the best.
Well said, Shank, and I agree 100% with you, man. Look, it's not what we wanted, but it's what he wanted. And you know what? It's his decision to make. I think he's missing out on a great opportunity in Tuscaloosa, but at the same time, you know what? He earned it. He worked hard to get there and make the decision for himself. And we'll see what happens in the long term. But Shank, great hanging with you today. We'll get back at it. Maybe do something Saturday after practice. We'll see what our schedules work. But Roll Tide, everybody. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Don't forget that we're brought to you by Pearl River Resort, also by New Life Art. We've got the promo code Bama Tailgate. That's 20% off of anything at New Life Art when you use that promo code at checkout. And then Pearl River Resort, the Timeout Sports Lounge, which is a Vegas-style sports book right there in Golden Moon Casino. We'll talk to you guys later. Roll Tide.
To Pearl River Resort.